and welcome to this morning's session for National Graduate Week, brought to you by Career Map Media Group. For this session, we're joined by the team at ECITB and we'll be discussing careers in engineering construction and the role that you can play in net zero. The session will be recorded and emailed to you, so don't worry about missing anything. But if you want to see and have anything for reference now, feel free to take screenshots. I'll now hand over to the team to start their session.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Adrian Wookey. I'm Head of New Entrants for the ECITB. Today, we're here to talk to you a little bit about the engineering construction industry, why it's so important and why it plays a critical role in helping us meet the requirements of net zero. So we're going to lead in with a little bit of about who we are, about what the engineering construction industry is, why it's critical to net zero, and we're also going to hear from some engineer colleagues that have been where you are now and have made the journey into industry. Now, I want you to make note of the QR codes that you see on the presentation. If you access those QR codes, they'll take you through to additional information relevant to the slide that we're talking about, and you can learn a little bit more information. Okay, so what is engineering construction? So, engineering construction is a vast industry. It covers lots and lots of different sectors. Everything that we do is built around a project life cycle. So we start off at the very beginning, where we engineer what the actual infrastructure is going to look like. We then take that initial concept and we build it layer upon layer with more engineering design and detail. We then go into procurement. We then have project managers that manage all the various work strands, the resources, the people. The construction phase is what follows on from that. We then go into installation, where we put everything in the infrastructure. We then commission it, which is basically start everything up, make sure it's all running correctly, and then it goes into its operational life cycle, and we refer to that as repair and maintenance phase. That's where people will operate and repair and maintain the infrastructure, and then at the end of its life, it's dismantled. So what do we do in terms of sectors? You'll see there's 8 core sectors on the screen there. We can go from left to right through water treatment, renewables, nuclear, food and drink, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, power generation, and chemicals. I think looking at those, you can get a feel for just how vital our sort of industry is. Engineering construction ensures that you have water to drink, clean water to wash in. It provides all different forms of power, food and drink, all of your medicine and tablets, and all of your fuel, and also all of the chemicals that we need for various reasons to use during our daily life. So if we weren't here, it would be a bit of a difficult life for us all, I think. Okay, so in terms of our footprint across all of the sectors, you'll see that there's about 190,000 jobs supported by engineering construction. That sounds a lot, but the demand for workers is more and more of a problem for us. So we really do need to attract as much talent into the industry as we possibly can. So in terms of the ECITB footprint, we've got about 83,000 workers. The industry, the engineering construction industry, contributes up to about £100 billion a year into the UK economy. And I think the point to note is we are in a phase of change. And that phase of change is that we really do need to deliver net zero. So we're looking at ever more cleaner sources of energy. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so who are we? Who are the ECITB? Okay, so the ECITB, the term ECITB stands for the Engineering Construction Industry Training Board. And we are an employer-led organisation that reports into government, and our remit, our objective is to ensure that the industry has all of the skills, training, qualifications they need to be able to deliver all of these high-value infrastructure projects. So our mission is to lead industry learning, and we don't take that lightly. So we really do need to bring as many people into the industry as possible, and that's not just to meet current projects, that's also to meet future large-scale infrastructure projects. So since 2020, we have supported around about 4,000 new entrants. Those new entrants range from apprentices through to graduates, through to ECITB scholars and people on our work-ready training maintenance operative programs. We also provide grant to our employer base. We're also an awarding organisation, and we offer over 1,100 qualifications. Well, we have awarded, should I say, over 1,100 qualifications since 2020. So our vision then is making sure that the engineering construction industry is at the forefront of net zero. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have as many good people in the industry, and we invest in training and qualifying and developing these people. Okay, we're also a major player in producing key labour market intelligence, and we work with Central Scottish, Central being English, Scottish Welsh governments, and we promote their industry needs as well. So if we go on to the next slide, please. So everyone's heard the term net zero. Net zero is a really, really important piece of work for everyone. Everyone's got a part to play in it. So many of the professionals working in our industry work on superstructures. Those superstructures range from things like wind farms through to nuclear power stations. I'm sure you've all heard of Hinkley Point C down in the southwest of England, which is the biggest nuclear new build project, certainly in my lifetime. We're also helping to tackle climate change by designing and installing and developing new energy solutions. And we're heavily involved in things like carbon capture, usage and storage, and also using hydrogen to develop and deliver a variety of power sources. So the energy transition is here and now. It's not something that's going to happen in the future. It's up close and personal, and it's essential that the UK workforce is correctly skilled. They've got the correct knowledge, the correct skills to be able to get to the forefront and help drive net zero through to a successful conclusion. Obviously, net zero means that there will be new projects and initiatives in the industry. So there's going to be lots of exciting opportunities for people to join the industry that want to make a difference and work on green projects. So we've talked about things like hydrogen, nuclear, carbon capture and storage. There's also things like renewable energy sources, and there's a whole range of those things like wind farms, solar, tidal. There's a whole variety of ways that we can produce clean energy and not add to the carbon footprint. So ECITB is one of the leading voices in driving through the net zero agenda, and we're part of a lot of the UK government's stakeholder groups. One, for instance, is the Green Jobs Delivery Group, and that's looking at workforce skills requirements to support energy transition. As well as supporting this task force, we're also working on a programme to help identify and address the required engineering skills for net zero, because that's a big thing. We know what we need to do, and we need to make sure that we identify the new skills needs, and there's training and qualification solutions in place to make sure that people have the right skills and knowledge and can gain the right experience to make sure that these projects are delivered in a fast, clean and efficient manner. We've also launched an energy transition leadership program, and that program is really important because it's targeting up and coming project leaders, and the aim of that is to help them steer industry towards its objectives and achieve net zero. For those of you that are interested in net zero and want to learn more about what we need to do to get there, we've got a new podcast now, and that podcast is called Collaborate. You'll see the QR code on the screen. Transitioning to net zero. So if you want to learn more about that, please do access the QR code. Okay, so I'm now going to go on to the next slide, and I'm going to hand you over to a couple of our graduate engineers. The first person I'm going to hand you over to is Chi, and Chi's going to go into a little bit more detail about what a career in the engineering construction can look like for you as a new graduate. Chi.
Hello, hi. I'm Chi. I did a graduate program 4 years ago, and I decided to go into this role purely because of the fact that I liked the idea of physics and having an influence on structures. Um, I thought that it was pretty interesting to watch things being built and just see the rewarding experience of you actually being behind the design of it. So I decided to take on the role as a structural engineer / civil engineer. But prior to being in the role that I was in, I first started off my first year in a role that was just building houses onshore, so in the UK. And I thought that I wanted, more of a variation in terms of some of the factors that, the structure could experience. And so I went into an idea role where I'd look at kind of anything that was offshore instead, like wind farms and oil and gas platforms as well, which I found pretty exciting. So once I found that I was within this role in structural engineering with offshore structures, I thought that, that would be really fantastic if I had an influence on how to perhaps program or look at the operations or be a project manager. So I took on a master's in project management in oil and gas after my civil engineering degree in university. And it was just really influential in terms of learning even more about the different types of infrastructure and how I could make change. And based on the experience I've had so far, now that I am a project manager, I can say that the program was really helpful in understanding the key skill sets that I wanted to gain. It definitely ushered a lot of prospects in terms of understanding what I liked and what I didn't like. I was put in different types of industries as well, whilst doing kind of engineering tech skills, and then learned what was kind of the kind of skill sets that I was perhaps best at doing. So doing a program was actually really useful. And now I've specialized in an area that I'm quite good in. So I would definitely suggest it. There have been many highlights. So far, I've been able to go to Perth in Australia. I've worked in Rotterdam. I've worked in many places around the world, actually, and contributed to building oil and gas platforms and offshore wind turbines, which has just been really, it's been a great privilege to actually see my structures on the water and actually see first power as well when the whole phase is completed. I would say there have been many obstacles. Definitely just in terms of, I'd say, perhaps even diversity as a woman in the industry. But it's been really great to overcome those obstacles and see even more kind of female engineers come into the industry and actually be a mentor to others now in the position I'm in. I would like to say that in the next 10 years, I would foresee myself perhaps being in operations or influencing policy based on the background I've had now with my technical skill set. I think that I could make a huge influence in terms of strategy and operations, maybe in oil and gas and mining, defense, and maybe offshore wind, and perhaps build and kind of capability programs and provide a lot of help and knowledge to people that are within power. And I think engineering is very important for the future. I think that we have a lot of value in that we are changing the world. We're building things that are of use to humans. And it's one of my favorite books is actually To Engineer as Human by Henry Petrotsky. And he basically outlines that every individual does engineer or create, and we have a huge influence on people's everyday lives. So that's why I think engineering is super integral to individuals, and people should continue to see how we're harnessing our knowledge power in that sense. In the future, I also see that because of AI, especially artificial intelligence, I see that engineering will expand even more. And that's really exciting, especially in this field of energy transition. I've seen it a lot in terms of the tools I'm building in my company in Kent Energy at the moment. So I would say do consider it overall. It's such a great route to go down because it's rather structured and you receive all the help that you need along the way throughout your journey. You'll have a lot of seniors within your career trajectory who will give you a lot of advice, a lot of experts that can just enable you to perhaps just add to the value of all the kind of knowledge you've learned, perhaps in uni or along the way. They can definitely help you refine it whilst in the office. And you can also have the opportunity to rotate and see different fields within engineering if you consider a program. And yeah, it's fantastic. There's a lot of value in taking on a role, and if you are successful further on, you can also get chartered and qualified, which is the stage I'm at now, and help influence others and give back to your communities. So yeah, I would like to probably hand on to Cameron now, and he can also tell you what a career in ECI looks like.
Thanks, Chi. So my name is Cameron Miller. I'm an operations and maintenance engineer for a natural gas terminal at Wood. I joined the graduate program about 4 years ago. You're probably wondering, how did I get into a role like this? Studying operations and maintenance as an engineering degree isn't an option at university. I actually have a degree in chemical engineering, but you can actually get into a role like this either through post-engineering degrees, so electrical, mechanical, structural, controls, but also through craft trades if you come to an apprentice scheme too. I naturally fell into the position based on two things. Firstly, I was trying to get a wide variety of experience early on in my career to kind of understand what I liked and what I didn't like. I quickly realized that I actually quite liked working in operations. And secondly, just saying yes to opportunities that were made available to me by people I trusted within the company as I started the graduate program. I was kind of approached to see if I was interested in a site-based role, as it kind of fill a gap in learning and development. So that's what I do now. As far as a graduate program, what does it look like? My company and actually the graduate program they offer has developed so much since I joined in 2019. I actually thought it would be best to describe what they kind of offer now. Typically, engineering companies, Wood for example, they kind of offer 2 to 4 year structured programs within your kind of chosen discipline, depending on what you studied. With us, you're kind of assigned a buddy, a mentor, a manager, and so they kind of support you with personal and professional development. And also there's support to go for chartered status, if that's something that you want as well. A lot of the time you'll get offered rotations across relevant different business areas. So again, going back to kind of trying to get that breadth of and variety of experience, that can be really quite useful. And also kind of joining lots of social development groups within businesses too, to kind of meet other graduates. It's certainly worth bearing that in mind on a graduate program. So there's been any highlights for me. I work with some amazing people that I actually probably call friends more than colleagues now. I've had lots of opportunities to work on offshore on oil platforms. I've worked on new carbon capture projects, and also kind of being part of a team to develop an artificial intelligence maintenance optimization tool, which is actually quickly becoming kind of a lead solution in the maintenance engineering field across the globe just now too. That's all the highlights, but has there been any challenges and obstacles along the way? For sure. I think when you're studying engineering at university or college, you're usually given all the information that you need to solve a problem, but in reality, kind of when you're in the workplace, you might need to identify what the information you actually need, determine what's relevant, and then kind of hunt for that information too. All of this is kind of added to the challenge of solving problems that we face as engineers on a day-to-day basis. So kind of where do I want to be in 10 years' time? I have a career goal. The company kind of supports career development, and as part of that, I want to be an operations manager for a site. Now, traditionally, that would have been maybe an oil platform or a natural gas terminal for me. But however, what I'm kind of seeing more likely now is actually running a carbon capture plant or a hydrogen producing plant as well. I think engineering is kind of important for the future. Engineering is more important than ever right now, I think. If the world kind of reaches 2050 net zero targets, there's a massive shift needed in kind of mindset of engineers, but also in the engineering skill sets that we require to transition to net zero engineering capabilities. This is why kind of the work that ECITB is doing support the engineering industry to identify these skill gaps for net zero is really, really crucial. As far as advice, if someone's considering taking into a graduate role, I'd probably give two bits of advice. Say yes to the opportunities that come up from people you trust. They really do have the best interest at heart, and have likely been around a lot longer as well to kind of know what a good opportunity looks like. Last piece of advice is trying to get the widest breadth of knowledge possible, so you can understand the bigger picture if you're on engineering projects. I'm a chemical engineer, but I've been doing structural, electrical controls, safety engineering, all kind of core disciplines of engineering, but also alongside kind of understanding project management and financial projects, which has really put me in a great place moving forward in my career. So that's probably my two bits of advice there. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, huge thanks to Cameron and Chi. So we want to offer you some practical advice at this stage. So just moving on, if you have felt inspired by some of what you just heard, and you might be wondering about what your next steps are and how you can learn or apply for roles within industry. So just to go through these, and our recommendations to you today are to research the industry and early careers opportunities available. Now you can visit our website through the QR code here to explore more about the sectors that we cover and the work that we do. We have a careers page as well as some news articles and publications that will enable you to develop your commercial awareness about our sectors and also gain an insight from the employers that make up that sector. You can explore different job profiles and sector information on prospects.ac.uk, which is a careers information website developed and regulated by university careers practitioners. We recommend that you engage with your university careers service. Now, they'll be able to support you in tailoring your CV and applications towards the roles that you're keen to apply for. They can also support you through recruitment processes and in some cases provide industry mentors to support you. They might also have some great labour market information via their online portal, which is going to support your understanding of the industry before you apply. You should get active on LinkedIn. If you don't already have a professional LinkedIn account, you should get one. Your university careers team can support you with this. And once online, you can actively engage and connect with industry bodies such as ourselves and also employers to develop your commercial awareness. LinkedIn is also a great space for job seeking and networking using the alumni tool. You should search and apply for opportunities. It's the best way forward. Whatever stage you're at, there are opportunities for you to engage with the engineering construction industry. Many of our in-scope employers offer insight experiences, internships, placements, and graduate schemes, some of which are advertised on GradCracker, which is a specialist STEM graduate website. Many other employers will host opportunities directly on their websites or via their social media platforms, including LinkedIn. Our in-scope employers are detailed on our website for your reference. Try to consider all entry routes. Your first role into industry doesn't have to be a graduate scheme if you can't find one. There can be some great benefits that come along with apprenticeships or entry-level roles that give you that necessary exposure to industry. And finally, it's important to note that engineering construction is for everyone. We really want to diversify our workforce, and our employers across the sector are actively recruiting and onboarding in a more inclusive way to drive diversity of thought that we need to tackle industry challenges and achieve those really important goals.
Okay, thanks, Matt. So I hope you found that interesting. I found the piece with Cameron and Chi particularly inspiring. It just goes to show what a great breadth and depth of types of work you can do in the industry and all of the opportunities that are available to someone that wants to enter an industry that is driving towards net zero. So please do use the QR codes, access them, build upon the knowledge that you've gained from today, and we hope to see you in the industry soon. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's just Heather from Career Map here. I just wanted to thank you, the panel, for such a detailed and inspiring session. And to the audience here, thank you for attending. Thank you for staying with us. And as I said at the beginning of the session, the recording will be emailed to you, so you'll have access to all of this post-event. Final word from me, stay tuned for more sessions during National Graduate Week, and we will see you very soon.